The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Health officials say medical frontliners have the right to refuse Sinovac vaccines. Speaking to One News, the chief's DOH Technical Advisory Group member Dr. Edsel Salvania said that health workers may opt to wait for another vaccine brand to arrive in the country. Salvania adds that they understand the hesitancy of health workers to take the jabs. He also reminded them that they are still included in the priority list even if they refuse to take Sinovac's shots.
And so if you don't want it, you don't lose your place in line. If Pfizer arrives, if Astra arrives, then you are still in front to get it. And
PGH health workers stage a protest demanding free, safe, and effective COVID-19 vaccines. Alliance of Health Workers President Robert Mendoza said around 3,000 PGH workers do not want to be inoculated with China's Sinovac because of its 50% efficacy rate. He adds that the government should speed up negotiations to acquire other COVID-19 vaccines soon. But the DOH Technical Advisory Group is appealing to the public to trust the vaccines. DOH-TAG member Dr. Edsel Salvania tells the chiefs that there is a lot of noise surrounding the vaccines, but he urges Filipinos to trust health experts that are vouching for the safety of the shots. Salvania also hopes that the initial vaccine rollout of healthcare workers will boost public confidence on the jabs.
if you see the healthcare workers taking the vaccine, that is something that cues our people na okay to, because I don't trust politicians. I don't trust whoever, influencers. If I see the doctors who have been protecting us for the last year take this, then I trust them with my life. I trust that they are doing the right thing.
Taking two different COVID shots are not advisable or backed by any study. That's again according to Dr. Edsel Salvana of the DOH Technical Advisory Group. He adds that it may even be dangerous to mix different vaccines. This means staff of the PSG who receive their unauthorized Sinopharm shots are discouraged from taking a share from the Sinovac jabs arriving tomorrow. Salvania also stresses the importance of using the vaccines in the way that they were studied.
Yeah, there's no data for mixing vaccines. So that's it for now. If you choose Sinovac, you'll get the second dose of Sinovac. If you choose not to take Sinovac, then you'll be first in line for Pfizer or for Astra, whichever vaccine arrives first. You can't mix vaccines at this time. They're doing those studies, but there's no guarantee that those studies will show benefit or if it will be just as efficacious. As to whether mixing vaccines can be harmful, they can be. Because, first of all, in some cases, if you get vaccines too close together, the second dose might not take because the immune system is still primed for the other vaccine. You could also have a bad allergic reaction. So there's a lot that can go wrong. Pag pinaghalo mo yan, wala tayong pag-aaral na ganon, anything can happen. And so while in general vaccines are safe and effective, it's important that we use them properly in the way that they were studied. Because if you go outside those parameters, then you're taking your life in your own hands.
With the imminent arrival of China's Sinovac and the recent protests held by health workers against said vaccine, the public is understandably confused. To help us understand what to expect when the vaccines arrive tomorrow, we have with us Dr. Nina Gloriani, a member of the vaccine expert panel. Doctora, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Rita.
Doctora, first of all, what is your take on IATF's decision to recommend Sinovac on health workers?
Well, actually, we have to really explain the safety and the efficacy. The efficacy of 50.7 was done on 100% healthcare workers in Brazil alone. Okay? So these were done, the clinical trials done during a time when there were so many COVID cases. So meaning these healthcare workers who received the vaccines under clinical trial were very much exposed to COVID, and that could possibly explain the low efficacy that they got. Now, the statistics are different when you include the general population, like what they did in Istanbul, Turkey, and in Indonesia. So the vaccine efficacy went up to 67 in Indonesia and 91.25 in Istanbul. So I think our healthcare workers are mixed up. Actually, 50% is the threshold approved by the World Health Organization. So it should be okay. Now, it's better than having nothing at all. And remember, this vaccine also has 78% efficacy against hospitalization and 100% efficacy against severe form of COVID. So I think there should not be any problem. They just need to be, we just need to explain to them that these are the statistics. And FDA was probably just very cautious because of that 50.7%. But without the other vaccines coming, I think they should take the job.
Yes, again, Doctora, that is where the confusion is coming from because, again, FDA earlier recommended not to use Sinovac for health workers.
No, I think it was not to use. They were saying it's not the best. If there is a 95% efficacy vaccine, 90%, then by all means, of course, you get that. But we have to be realistic as well. We're not getting the supplies anytime soon from Pfizer or from AstraZeneca because of certain issues. Now, the Sinovac is here. For this COVID-19 vaccines, we cannot delay too much because the variants are already here. We are running against time. We cannot allow the virus to overtake us.
Doctora, on that note, can you walk us through the process of the vaccine delivery once it arrives here? Where will it go, and will it go straight to the hospitals?
Okay, I think that way. It depends on the storage condition. Sinovac has 2 to 8 degrees, so it's the usual vaccines that we get. I am not really sure if they will still get it to our ITM. We have the main storage facilities, but they may directly go to the hospitals that have been indicated to receive the vaccine, because this is 2 to 8. But if it were the Pfizer one, which requires minus 70, minus 80 degree storage condition, then it will have to go to the big facilities where you have the ultra-low freezers.
Dr. Nina, there are reports that we received that the big 3 hospitals, namely PGH, Lung Center, and Amang Rodriguez, will be prioritized. So what does this mean for other hospitals' procurement of vaccine for their own health workers?
Well, actually, we have this list already mapped out. Now, the first ones will come, of course, prioritize the 3 or 4 that were actually listed. And anything that comes after, they still have that prioritization. So we just need to know how many vaccines will still be supplied, what are they, but they will be there down under. They have all the rankings already mapped out. They should not worry.
Finally, Doctora, some health workers are keen on refusing the Sinovac shots, saying they would rather wait for a safer and more effective vaccine. What are your take on this?
Okay, you cannot wait too long. You never know when you're going to get exposed to COVID. The chances of getting exposed to COVID, if they are healthcare workers and if they are at the front line, will be higher than, I don't know. If I were these healthcare workers, PPH, I would take the first job that is available.
One more, Doctora. Do you think we can expect a decline in cases after the shots are administered?
Not immediately. We need that sort of herd immunity that we already said that 70 to 80%. So without 70 to 80% of the population being vaccinated, we may have to wait a while. But if we have, the government is planning to procure 150 million doses for this year alone, 2021. Okay, so that will be 75 million Filipinos. Granting you have 2 doses, 75 million within the year. Then hopefully by 2022, we may expect already some sort of herd immunity, or many people would have enough protection or enough antibodies to protect them. It will not come very quickly, sorry. we'll have to wait and still maintain our minimum public health standards.
Certainly hoping for the best. Thank you again. That was Dr. Nina Gloriani. And we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Over in the United States, hate crimes against Filipinos and other Asians are increasing in light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Dale De Vera with the story.
Matet has been living in America for almost a decade. She even raised a family there. But her years of peaceful living in the U.S. is now marred with fear. There has been a growing number of hate crimes in America against Asian Americans. Matet herself was a recent target during a subway commute.
I was thinking if I can sit because I was so tired, and then the lady just shouted at me, and then she told me that, "Oh, come on, you want to take a seat? Go take a seat." She's actually debating with me because of that specific location, that she's actually taking all of the space that time. So, ayaw niyang i-share yung space. Ayaw niya i-share yung space dun sa subway.
Matet says Filipinos in the U.S. should always be on alert to avoid hate and discrimination.
Hindi ako nakikipag-contact kasi ayaw nila nung titingnan mo sila. So, hindi ako nakikipag eye-to-eye contact. So, I'll just go in one corner away from the people.
Hate crimes are nothing new in the U.S., but it worsened for Asian Americans since the pandemic started. It resurfaced after a 91-year-old Asian man was caught on video being pushed to the ground in Oklahoma. Just this month, a Philippine senior citizen had his face slashed with a box cutter at a New York subway. There was also the case of Angelo Quinto, a mentally ill Philippine U.S. Navy veteran. According to his family, he died after a police officer who was meant to help him knelt on his neck for several minutes, asphyxiating him. The Philippine Embassy in Washington has called on authorities in America to protect Asian nationals, including Filipinos. The embassy also reminded Filipinos living there to be cautious and immediately report such attacks. For News 5, Dale De Vera, we are One News.
The IATF approved the uniform travel protocols for all local government units this morning. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, travelers will no longer be required to undergo COVID-19 testing unless the LGU of destination will require RT-PCR testing prior to travel. He adds that the travel authority issued by the Joint Task Force COVID Shield and health certificates are no longer required. Instead, DOST's S-Pass travel system will become the one-stop shop application for all travelers, while StaySafe.ph shall be utilized as the primary contact tracing system. Lastly, all buses in Metro Manila bound for the provinces will be required to use the integrated terminal exchange as the central hub for transportation. Now, several departments including DILG, DOH, DOST, DOT, and PNP as well as the LGUs will be tasked to oversee the implementation of these protocols. Meanwhile, retailers are urging the government to raise the price cap on pork products. Rice prices have also gone up due to increasing farm gate prices. Shaila Francisco with details.
Despite the imposition of a price cap on pork, retailers at Murphy Market hiked prices by as much as 30 pesos.
Meron naman po kasi kaming resibo na nakalagay doon kung magkano yung puhunan namin. So yun na lang din ang ipapakita namin. Tsaka kami dito, nagkakaisa kami. Kung uhulihin nyo kami, lahat kami.
Retailers like Jenica would rather scrap the price cap altogether. This recommendation was discussed in the Agriculture Department's meeting with stakeholders. A proposal was made to instead impose a suggested retail price of 330 to 360 pesos a kilo. Violators will pay at least 5,000 peso fine and jail time of up to 15 years. Stakeholders also recommended to set the farm gate price at 220 pesos per kilo. The DA will decide on the resolution next week. But as early as now, their Consumer Affairs Department would rather increase the price cap on pork to 300 to 330 pesos a kilo.
Ang compliance niyan is nasa less than 30% lang. Kung konti lang po nakakapag-comply. So ibig sabihin, the atmosphere ng negosyo hindi komportable. Talagang naghihirap.
Aside from transport subsidy for hog suppliers to Metro Manila, the DA also relaxed its insurance requirements for raisers affected by the African swine fever. Hog raisers welcomed the move, but said the DA should ensure they will receive timely payments.
Kung talagang gusto mong mabilis na makipag-cooperate ang ating mga traders and magbababoy, dapat mabilis ang kanilang pagbibigay ng ayuda.
Meanwhile, the price of well-milled imported rice has gone up by 2 pesos, while local premium rice increased by a peso based on the DA's price monitoring. But some retailers are not passing the price hike on to consumers.
Sa amin pa lang po yun, kasi mahirap magtaas. Namamahalan din yung mga tao, hindi na balik kami na yung magpalwal ba. Makatubo man lang ng konti, okay na yun.
According to the Federation of Free Farmers, aside from higher farm gate prices as harvest season nears, the increase may also be a result of world market prices. Shaila Francisco, VR1 News.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 1 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for your free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.